it's so weird, man. We get up every fucking day, you look in the mirror, and it's just showing you your physical body. And man, I went through this crazy process, dude, when I was in Minneapolis, and it progressed more as I came down here. Now it's like it's such a weird thing when I look at myself in the mirror. I have no identification with my physical appearance, but it's funny because I still I spend more time fixing myself up and looking nice and fixing my hair before I go out than I ever have before, because I'm trying to make good impressions so that I can meet people and network. And I realize, see what I'm saying?
You're playing in their playground.
Yeah, exactly.
You're playing in their playground.
I'm realizing that it's increasing my odds, and it does. I'm starting to meet people all the time and all this other shit. But at the same time, it's funny because
the medium is the message.
I'm not sure. I'm just gonna keep talking. But
have you ever heard what that's what you're talking about? It's the idea that it's not what you say in some type of superficial cultures.
Well, it's kind of like you were saying earlier,
man.
How
you're viewed.
It's kind of like you were saying earlier, and all of what art is. It's really funny because if you've heard the expression "art is prayer," I've started to realize, as the further that I study philosophy and being a musician and any sort of artist, the more that I realize how much that is true. And what I think is so funny is growing up in a Christian community, and many of our parents told us that we couldn't listen to certain music and all this other stuff. And I think what's so funny is you have bands that write music, and the lyrics say that there is no God or God is dead or all this other shit. But the very fact, dude, the music that you're playing is proof and is the existence of God. So the fact that you have lyrics that say that God doesn't exist, you're just saying words. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times just it's people that don't like, it's either number one, the judgmental Christian community that they don't want to be a part of, and it's shunning them, which most of the time that's what it is. And then the rest of the time it's just frustration and pain with your life and that sort of thing. Which that's a whole nother fucking thing, man.
Yeah, I said, the whole argument of God doesn't exist. You're playing in a 5 sense reality, so you're playing in their game, trying to prove something. You're not gonna get anything out of it.
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is it's the 5 sense reality. I mean, they're looking at everything from a scientific perspective. They're telling you, prove it through our scientific method. Hey, prove it through this. But then the scientific method they tell you that proves it is wrong every other week. And we find out we've been wrong for hundreds of years about everything.
Well,
so they're trying to tell you to prove something isn't fiction in a fictionary scientific method.
Bro, have you ever read any... Do you know who Ram Dass is?
No.
Okay, well, he has this book called Be Here Now. Very interesting. He was I think he was a teacher at Harvard and Stanford. Maybe he was only a teacher at one of them, but he was connected with people in both places. And he was one of those people that was taking psilocybin or mushrooms or LSD or whatever early on. Right. So this would have been, what, 60 years ago or 50 or 60 years ago? And it was very controversial and all this other stuff. But he talks about his experience doing it. Because here's what he explained, is right. He was like this Stanford teacher. And he was the one in his whole family that everybody looked up to as the one who made it. And he said deep down, he felt like a failure because he felt unfulfilled, and he would go to these nice meetings and these nice parties, and everybody looked up to him and talked to him and, kind of worshipped him, basically. But at the end of the day, he didn't feel like he had a purpose or he was fulfilled or anything like that. He was just this Harvard teacher. And he went into many of the psychological kind of thought processes that were coupled with that. And it is interesting in a sense to put someone in a position that everybody is saying, you've made it, you've done it, how do you do it? And he's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't feel fulfilled, you know? And he talks
No,
about, I think it was his
right.
first mushroom trip, and this is very, 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 very profound. He was up and he saw himself, I think, in a mirror, and I think he was wearing a suit or something. And he said he saw the person that was the teacher, that was like the Stanford teacher, but that wasn't him. And then he saw the person that was, his name, which at the time was Richard Alpert. But he was like, but that wasn't him either. That wasn't. And then he saw his body, but that still wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? So he came to another identification of what it is to be self or being. It was very, very profound because many people identify with their we've talked about this many times. People identify with their job or their career title or what they own or how they
Collectivist
dress.
titles. Yep.
Or another thing that's
part of,
really fucking
whatever.
ridiculous that I've been thinking about lately is people identify with the type of music they listen to. How fucking stupid is that? I was thinking about that, dude. Like, oh my god, dude. Thousands of years ago, and for the most of human existence, if you were able to, like, be around good musicians and hear them play, it was probably a fucking miracle. And now we have everybody with their fucking iPad and their iPhone and all this other shit, and they identify with the type of music they listen to. What? How fucking crazy is that? And I've realized on so many levels how it's destroying people's true sense of self. And I'm going to couple that also with, I went to go see a movie the other day, and I've realized that over the years, it's been harder and harder for me to go sit in a theater. And I've realized this on multiple levels, is many people consider movies to be like the ultimate art form, right? It's like there's acting and there's the music and then there's the cinematography, and it all comes together, and the best actors are the ones that aren't really acting, but they're actually getting into the character, and they're authentically, spontaneously feeling, expressing. They're actually being the character. They're not acting, they're being the character. And that's what people consider to be good acting. And then the whole point of it is to have a point, right? Is to have some sort of lesson or parable or whatever. And then people are so fucking dumb these days that it's not enough just to have the picture or the music. You got to have the acting, and you got to have the cinematography and the camera angles, and you got to have the music that portrays the right vibe, and then hopefully people will get the picture. And then, you know, the whole problem nowadays is that most of the fucking movies are so, like, fucking, I saw Suicide Squad. It was like the dumbest fucking movie ever. But regardless of, you know, some of the art was cool and this other stuff, and I'm not trying to bash that or anything, but what the movie was about was just fucking stupid. So, anyway, what I was trying to get to with my point is just people go to these movies and they're super judgmental about all the actors and all this other shit. They're such critics. And it's like, what the fuck have you contributed? Have you written one song? What have you done fucking anything besides make yourself a bowl of cereal this morning? Like, what the fuck have you contributed, you know? And people are so judgmental. And what I've realized, man, is I think it really is eternal, man. Internal. Like, people don't love themselves at all. They're super hypocritical. They're super critical, self-critical. And it leads to this sort of dynamic that we have. And it's just crazy, man. Like, people don't even know who they are or how to be themselves. And then they go see movies and judge other people that are acting characters that they aren't.
Right. I think I agree with what you're saying, but the other thing is this: do you have a pair of headphones to listen to this too? I keep getting reverb bad. I can hear myself like a second after I say anything. It's really hard. I'm like talking over myself.
Yeah. Hold on, let me.
It's really fucking.
I actually
hard.
do have headphones. Hold on, give me 1 second. Keep talking though, and I'll just transition into headphones. It'll take me like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think again, it goes back to a lot of it goes back to this. Medium. He identified the light bulb as a clear demonstration of the concept of the medium is the message. The light bulb does not have content in the way that a newspaper has articles or a television has programs. Yet it is a medium that will allow a social effect. That is, a light bulb enables people to create spaces during nighttime that would otherwise be enveloped by darkness. He describes the light bulb as a medium without any content. McClellan states a light bulb creates an environment by its mere presence. That's the same thing with these movies, dude. It's creating it by it being grandiose and having these models basically acting and having all these extra CGA effects. The medium itself is deceptive because it appears to be quote official, right? Because it means that it has clout, right?
It appears to be real.
It doesn't.
Because it
doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't.
It appears to be real, but it's just like
sad and empty, just as empty as we are.
Who knows, man? It could
Seriously.
be. I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think sometimes there are actors that are actually making a difference. Could be with the message that they're conveying through the art. And I think the other thing is a lot of times people are just too ignorant to even realize what's happening. They think they're making a difference, but they don't even really think about it. You know, it's just like soldiers in war. You know, like it's it's like Albert Einstein said, it's like the pioneers of a warless world are youth that refuse military service, and yet we still worship people that go to war and kill people.
Dude, they made a statue, that one sniper guy. I mean, that's dysfunctional as a society. That guy that had that video or that movie?
Yeah, Chris Kyle.
I even forget his name.
Did you see
they made a fucking...
Did you see Adam...
They made a metal bronze statue out of him. Really, dude?
I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah, it's
insanity.
It's all
crazy.
Yeah, it's all
insanity.
Idolatry and worshiping military, worshiping killing people, worshiping materialism. I was gonna talk about this earlier because I met these girls. I hope they don't fucking listen to this.
They won't. They're too busy thinking about themselves to fucking listen to what anybody else has to say. Come on now, keep it real for a second.
It was interesting because they are right. Okay, so they're at the age where they're somewhat impressionable, right? They're 22, 23, so they're like a couple years, 2 or 3 years younger than me. It's funny how being in college, that transition from high school to college, you've never left the womb of government and public education. So your perspective at that point is still pretty jaded, And it's funny. I was talking to one of the girls, and I was asking them all. I was all trying to figure them out because when I meet people, I'm like, "What's your story? What's your life story? What do you do?" Because I like to find people that have a story and to hear about it, And and they're young, and I'm sure they have a story that they maybe don't realize yet. And that's one of the things too, is I didn't really realize kind of what my story is and is becoming until God damn, that keyboard is loud as fuck. You gotta cut that shit out, man.
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I think it was kind of like we were talking about earlier. All the weird things that you identifying with your past and guilt and shame, it fucks up your perspective of what your life story is and what all that kind of stuff. So anyway, they're young and they're in college, and I was talking to one of the girls, and she went to school for business management, but that's not really what she wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, so what do you do? What do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm getting ready to go to school to be a dentist. And I'm like, so what made you want to do that? And she didn't really have a reason or whatever.
You know why?
But I commend her for this, and I'm by no means trying to judge anyone or whatever. Because, dude, I went to school for 2 years. It was a waste of 2 years of my life that I can never get back. So, But anyway, she was like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with my life. I'm trying to figure it out. And that's a great place to be, man. If we can get more people to be there, that's awesome. Because, I'm trying to get people to realize, like, okay, if you're going to school for something and there is return on investment and it's really, really something you really want to do, and especially if you have a scholarship or your parents are paying, then by all means, whatever. If that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. But it's a lot of your time that you're never going to get back, And the other thing is, like, do you want to spend 10, 15 years of your life doing this? I mean, this is the prime years of your life after you get out of college. Like, and this is a lot of debt that people are getting into. You know, it's funny, the other day I realized that the word mortgage actually comes from the Latin words, like mort and I don't know if it's like gauge or get, whatever, those two words. It actually means death contract. Did you know that?
I know. I did
What
know that.
the
Yeah.
fuck? I'm like, how the fuck do people
A lot of
not
these
know
things
that?
are hidden. A lot of these things are hidden in the words,
Hidden,
dude.
hidden in
Like
plain sight.
pharmakeia is like
Yeah.
a word for magic, basically. And I mean, it
Was
literally
that
is. I
actually?
mean,
Was
if you
that
look at,
actually a? Was that word come from the Rockefellers, or was that before them?
I'm looking it up. I forget. I just remember. I know.
That's crazy, man. I was talking to my mom about that the other day. I'm like, look, all this shit is fucked up. They know the chemotherapy.
It comes from Greek. It comes from the Greek word pharmakeia, which is magic, sorcery, enchantment.
And
Literally,
isn't
dude.
that
It
funny
literally
how
comes.
you go to church and they all worship pharmaceuticals and and taking your drugs and shit.
I want to tell you a story because this week I had something happen to me and Maddie. We watched this movie, this documentary called Vaxxed that was put out by
Dude,
Robert De Niro and pulled, and we watched
how
it and
is
we could not.
how is Maddie, dude? How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Cool.
We are doing great.
You
The
tell her.
kid, I mean, obviously
You
it's a
gotta
lot
tell
of
her I
energy,
said hi,
but
by
the
the
kids
way.
are a lot of energy. But yeah, I will.
Anyway.
We watched this movie on Saturday, and me and Maddie sat next to each other during the movie, and it was like, I mean, the movie was obviously factually hardcore, but it was also emotionally hardcore to see all the different things in the movie and all the families that have been personally affected by this, to individualize it. I mean, Maddie was crying for most of the movie, dude. I like literally all like sobbing. And to me, it's just like, okay, this movie that Robert De Niro put out, because Robert De Niro has like an autistic son, and
Okay.
he brought it to this film festival, right? Robert De Niro, famous actor, you know who he
Yeah.
is. He's been in a million films.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who he is. Okay, so he brought this to a film festival, right? And well, because of the sponsors for and the other films, they had like a big uproar about this film because obviously there was pressure put on these companies through banks, through everything, on the whole establishment to like, whoa, we got to push this film out of this film festival. That Robert De Niro created this film festival with a colleague. All right, so this is like his film festival, right? That he created after 9/11. Okay, so he's here with this film festival just trying to say, hey, check out this documentary. It's something to look at. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not saying vaccines are bad. I'm not saying any of these things. Watch the documentary. I think there's a lot of things in the documentary that are quote telling. And so the whole documentary is about the CDC whistleblower that comes out and says 20 or whatever years ago that they did this research on how vaccines connected to autism, especially MMR. And they lied. They particularly omitted data that would tell you and suggest there was a clear connection between the vaccinations and autism, right?
What's the name of this documentary?
And the public, Vaxxed, VAXXED,
Oh, is it?
vaxthemovie.com, I think it is.
Okay.
It was so hardcore, dude. And so they have the guy that was in charge, like, this is not a small guy. This guy was in charge of the fucking research project. And they were like, everybody on the research project that omitted, that lied, they all have big positions in big pharmaceutical companies making tons of money as consultants and whatever else, or something like that. And I'm telling you, dude, this film is a perfect example of, I saw hit pieces all over the news about this documentary, right? Okay. And the hit pieces are like, hey, the CDC says, though, that they're safe. And that, by the way, most doctors say they're safe and effective. The whole documentary is disproving the fact that it's an illegitimate source for information because it's been compromised by thousands and probably hundreds of millions and billions of pharmaceutical donors and manipulation. Okay? The whole film is there discrediting the pharmaceutical industry and the CDC collaborating to tell you what's best for you. And then they come out and they say the proof that this is a fraud, this documentary, is that the CDC says so, so don't see it. But if you actually watch the documentary, you're like, oh my God, the people who we pay to protect us, the government, through our tax dollars, through theft, are doing the opposite. And so it becomes clear to even the most casual observer who watches this documentary that, like, yeah, dude, even if vaccines are good, the fact that these people who are in this position omitted data, skewed data, lied about it, shredded it, they had a shred fest and shredded all the data, is evil, fundamentally evil. It transcends deception, dude. Okay? So, I mean, something like that, I mean, it blew my mind, because then all the hit pieces came out on the internet, and I'm reading the hit pieces, and I'm like, okay, I saw the documentary, and what they're saying here is they're like, oh, one of the doctors that was interviewed in the film was discredited. Okay, what about the CDC and them lying and shredding documents? That didn't happen, or what? Well, the documentary is misleading because there was a discredited scientist in the film. Okay, dude. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But the fundamental part is they cannot, it's at the root of it, is that the data told them a different story that was significantly statistically relevant, and they omitted it, dude. They buried it because of its general effect on the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, of course they lie, and everybody. I think.
But it affected.
I think
said,
people.
Dude, if you watch
I
the
think
film,
a lot of
oh
people.
my
I
God.
think a lot of people are idealists like myself. But the thing is that they're ignorant idealists, and they think, oh, government. You know, dude, they wouldn't fuck us over or fucking do anything bad or whatever. That's a fucking conspiracy theory or whatever, you know. And it becomes one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be a part of that group or those people. Instead of like, okay, well, okay, I know that you want to see the best in people. I get that, and that's a great quality. But at the same time, there are people that want to fuck you over. And one of the things that has really stuck out to me recently, it was an Osho quote. He says, it is said that power corrupts. Power corrupts absolutely. And he says, I don't agree. He says, that's not true at all. He says, power does not corrupt. He says, people that are corrupt desire power. And he said it's going to be a show the whole time. They're going to pretend to be saints and all this shit until they get to the point of power, and then the veil will be torn. And, and that's what it is, dude. That's
exactly it. It will be torn all at once, and people will be so.
People won't be able to.
I mean,
I think people
comprehend.
I think it's the normalcy bias. Like, even my roommate that I've been living with, dude, I've shown him so much shit that he's woken up to, and it's still just like he still just wastes so much time, and I don't fucking know. So. Man, it's like there's so much waking up to do, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. I don't even think you can. I don't even think you can do it through an information platform. I mean, you can kind of try to steer them that way, but they're not going to get the macro, the main idea that this is what happened because of. Here's what I think.
Who we've manifested. It's nothing but a reflection of ourselves.
And why is it so bad? I want to go back.
First, fix the individual.
I want to go back to what we were fucking talking about earlier with the Christians and them being salesmen of, hey, I'm super happy and after I got saved and everything has been just fucking unicorns and cotton candy every day since then, and I never get sad or anything. And and not everybody's like that, but for the most part, that's what it is, and that's the sales pitch and whatever. And I understand the law of attraction. I understand fucking trying to be high vibe, especially when you go out. But what is this? Is there another way? Here's kind of the philosophy that I'm trying to explore, is that I don't think it's necessary to go out and be fucking happy, jolly Sam every day, dude. I think what is important is being authentic every day, and I think that's what people respect, is being real, rather than giving people a fake smile or whatever else. I don't think people really appreciate that. And I'm not trying to say that that means going out and being fucking depressed and bringing people down, because I think you can have a good attitude and want good things, but at the same time be authentic and be real, and you don't always have to be, you know, sunshine coming out your asshole every day.
Right, right. But I mean, there's a way, like you said, there's a way that. What is that fucking noise? Um, there's a way that you can be constructive in how you deliver the details. Like, hey, like we're not trying to be doomy and gloomy, but there's a bunch of people that just got shot in the parking lot, and instead of finding out better ways of treating gunshot wounds, maybe we should find out who's shooting people in the parking lot. And that's what people want to do. Is everybody wants to look at, hey, you're bad because you said people are getting shot in the parking lot. That's not true.
Division.
You can hear the shots going off, but what's really going on is everybody's saying, well, why don't we just find out better ways of managing our welfare and managing and get less people on it and try to make the numbers better. No, the root of the cause of what's going on in our country and our society is the fracture of the individual, and the fact that we have no fathers, no strong fathers. We're set to fail just in our culture. The fact that the mother and father have to go to work for 40 hours just to make a stable single or a stable family household run.
Man, that's a whole other conversation, because it
is, but it all let's be real, it all interconnects with
well, if we're gonna go there, if we're gonna go there, then let's just go there. And this has become one of my philosophies. And I think my roommate is a really good example of this, because he works full time and he really hates his job and it really wears on him. And I'm trying to get him to figure out how to work less and all that kind of stuff and get out of there, because it's not just that it's just fucked up. Like, let's just leave it at that. It's morally kind of fucked up, and I think the more that he realizes that, the more it makes it more difficult. But I'm trying to get him to realize that, so it propels him out of the situation and that sort of thing. Regardless of that, what I was going to get to is that that's one of the things I've realized in this country, and I've heard people say it more recently. I heard Jeff Berwick say this, is that you get out of school, you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you come home and you're so fucking tired, you don't even have time to fucking learn the truth. And the other thing is nowadays, there's so much deception. There's so much deception out there and division that it's hard. And the other thing is, when you do start to learn the truth, like, I think, me and you to a very extent, and a lot of people we know are pretty woken up. It's fucking hard, man, and you feel isolated, and we need fucking support groups and shit, because this fucking shit, it ain't easy. I mean, we got people, we got people,
right when he says that.
We got people like fucking the guy that wrote King, Warrior, Magician, Lover committing suicide a few months ago and shit like that happening. Like, that's, man.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. The thing is, we have the answers. It's not we don't have the answers. We have the answers. Okay? People are starting to listen to the answers. But the system knows that if you ever became a strong individual, if you ever had the economic chance of sustaining yourself and doing what you love to do and being passionate, that there's no way that the mass model of corporatization could ever compete with you on an individual level. You are more efficient as a human being. You are more creative. You're more intuitive. You are more impassioned than anybody in that fucking 5x6 cubicle at Main Street corporate America. Yeah. Okay? You are a weapon in your creativity. Why? Because you destroy and dismantle the consolidated power of the corporations who want to sell everything mass to us. Okay, this is why they're coming out with the TPP to stomp out the little people, because of the because of the YouTubes of this world, because of the 3D printers of this world, because of these so-called disruptive technology.
Just in case anybody is listening to this that isn't doesn't really know what's going on, you should maybe talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You should talk about that.
Nobody really knows about it. We know of it. We know parts of it, and we know kind of what the synopsis is. But only 5 of the 27 parts are on trade law and tariff law, and basically concerning with copyright, right? Which is like, if I have a video talking about this mouse that's a Corsair mouse, and let's say I like it or I dislike it, whatever. I could be financially held before a global tribunal of corporations, a corporate appointed board, okay? Basically corporations. and it supersedes your national sovereignty, your local government's ordinance, and they can basically penalize you for what they determine is their losses. So all these things about us writing in reviews and doing, hey, we don't like this, and hey, we like this, and the Etsy's and the little things of the world that allow us to get real original creativity, not somebody's slave work from China, that is killing them. Because consumption is going down in that economy, right? Mass consumption from the Walmarts of this world, the Targets, they're closing, the Walmarts are closing. They're scared because that dish that has those little brushed-in fragments that are supposedly real are not real. They're mass-produced, mass-consumed, and people don't want that. That is not art, okay? Art is not something that we mass-produce to sell, okay? Art is a creative expression of one's mind, heart, and soul, okay? That is what they can't fight with, is because when people see these pottery pieces on Etsy and all these other places, they fall in love with those pieces. Those can't be mass-produced, all right?
Yeah.
They can't. And the fact is people are going back to not a mass culture, but a microculture where we want microbreweries and microbrews, and we don't want, Budweiser.
Local.
This is the thing. It's shifting, and they're trying to fight it tooth and nail to go in that direction, because the system we're moving into is using the technology in our advantage to individualize the market. And they hate that so hard, it's unbelievable, because they can never compete against it. But the problem is the TPP is here to control the internet and lock everything down. It's like, it's like you said, James, the glove is coming off the iron fist now, and they're saying, listen, if we don't catch this now, this thing called the internet, and nobody's watching TV anymore, nobody's watching cable. Everybody's watching like YouTube and Roku and fucking.
Oh my God! Speaking of which,
they are freaked. They are freaked the fuck out because they can no longer push their shit, dude. A perfect example of a movie like Vax will get seen millions and millions of times, and yet it totally reduces everything that they have been saying to us that was true to mere sludge. Not even lies, sludge. Because once you watch the documentary and you go watch the hit pieces are just there to make you think that it's crazy, that you wouldn't waste your time to go buy it or watch it. But if you actually do, you'll see that it's just funny. It's like farcical. It doesn't even make sense. And that's the whole thing, is we're working in a system that's there to diminish your ability as an individual to not, just like me and James said, you never have time to become and understood your beliefs. You don't even know what you believe. Right. You don't know what you even like. You don't even know what you like to do. They've been stealing the now just by creating debt over your head so that you have to do shit you don't ever want to fucking do.
Yeah.
But you haven't had enough experiences outside the Kulog education
the
present
moment is 20 years away after you pay off your college debt.
Yeah. You'll be 40 years old. I was just talking to, perfect example. I ran into a guy here that I work with that's a new guy that you didn't meet when you were there, and I work in a warehouse. And I couldn't believe this man came up to me, dude, and I was talking to him one day, and I said, well, what's that? There's a picture of pottery on his phone. I'm like, what the hell is that? Well, that looks amazing. He's like, yeah, he was kind of embarrassed. He took a step back, and he kind of solemnly said, yeah, I do pottery on the side. And I said, dude, that is amazing. And then you know what he told me? He began to show me how he got interested in pottery with his twin brother. And dude, they have been nationally recognized on how good they are at pottery. I said, listen, whatever you need to do to set up a website to sell this and make this and be creative, to not be in this place, I will help you do. Like, seriously, I was like, dude, these guys are so good that they made it into, I think, like Time magazine or something, dude.
Really?
For being like, they're so good at pottery. Like, it's like professional, like mastery level, dude. They're artists, dude.
That's so cool.
And they're in a warehouse picking, dude.
Yeah.
Because there's no economy for it. Okay? So I work with another guy today. This guy was Hmong. His brother just nicked getting into the Olympics. He's a 145-pound Hmong guy that works out downtown Minneapolis. And he was deadlifting 650 like 5 times.
What? And he's 145? Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, he's about 5'4", 5'3", and I'm saying these are wonderful people, amazing people. There's amazing people everywhere, stealthily. There are. They are the few. They're not the major popular, but what I'm saying is these people exist, and they're suppressed by the system.
Yeah.
They're suppressed.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird,
like
do great.
The shame.
They can't even be great because they're carrying people who are too lazy to even try or care about anything. They're carrying buckets of water for those people. And instead of freeing them up economically and allowing them to pursue their passion and their dream, they're held back. I mean, come on, through theft. They both got degrees.
Yeah.
And they're working in a warehouse. I work with like 8 guys in a warehouse, dude, that have degrees, 4-year degrees. And it's more profitable to be part of a union and work in a hard labor environment than it is to go off and do your... This guy has a degree in business and finance, dude, and he's picking cases. And he's saying, yeah, I wish I went... He's Hmong, right? And he said, man, I wish I wouldn't have gone to college. That's what he told me yesterday, dude.
Yeah, of
He
course.
doesn't know anything about how big of a scam it is. You know what he said to me? He said, the fact is I'd hate sitting in an office all day. And then the other fact is I'd rather be out on my feet, you know, doing something physical. And he said, dude, I could make less with benefits than I do here. I'm saying, what is wrong? What is going on with the return on investment in college, dude? That you can go.
There
for
is
4
no
years,
return.
lose 4
It's
years
a
of income.
trap. It's a trap to get you.
It's illusional.
It's a trap
It's
to
illusion.
fuck up your sense of self, fuck up your sense of self-worth, and then
Amazing.
put you in debt, turn you into a slave.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what
right.
it is, and it's so hard because I feel like
It
these
steals time.
little babies that are in college that are getting into college are so insecure about it that I'm trying to find a loving way
Oh, yeah.
to like wake them up to it. It's like, yeah, you can drop out, but you know that's hard too because then you're going against the grain of society.
It's literally like it's literally like Stockholm syndrome, right? Because they got this like giant belt with a giant fucking weight behind them that they're pulling through the sand, and you're like, whoa, that is big.
Oh, yeah.
There's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not. Do you see everybody else has a big ball and chain? And you're like, dude, hey, I bet you could run faster if you didn't have that on your ankle. But everybody has one. So you just look around and it's normal. I guess this is normal. But you want to know something? They're not convicted by principle, okay?
Yeah.
They're convicted by collectivism, by
Isn't
by
that
what is
that's a
everybody else
really
doing?
funny
How do I feel safe?
That's a really funny analogy because it's like you're trying to say them
you can
why
run
are you
so much faster.
it's like why are you hauling all this weight behind you? It's killing you. And they're like, oh, it's not weight, look at everybody else is doing it. And it's like they're completely like the reasoning is completely circular and stupid.
Right, and it's insane. It's like, okay, it's just like their economic policy, right? Of the Federal Reserve says, well, let's print more, right? But it's not printing because we're creating debt. So it's not really printing. It's not free money. It's creating debt. So tell me, how do you dig out of a hole by digging it deeper? So how do you fill in a hole by digging it deeper?
Right.
It's like a
It's
catch
obvious.
22. It
This is
doesn't make any
very
sense,
this
right?
is very obvious. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just
I
digging
mean,
the hole
they know.
deeper. I mean,
They know they're all fucking us all over. I mean, this is it's very simple, dude.
It's alchemy.
It's very simple.
It's alchemy.
You print money, you give it to your buddies that get it at face value, and they all love you, and they fucking go blow it on drugs and hookers and shit. And then by the time me and you get it, it's been devalued, and basically the only thing we see is, oh shit, raspberries are fucking how much?
Inflation.
Money? Yeah, all we see is the inflation. We don't get anything. Stimulating the economy.
Stimulating.
It's stimulus,
but it ain't the economy.
aka giving all your best pals free money that came out of nowhere that's gonna fuck everyone over.
No, it's
that's what it really is.
A bunch of cokeheads. Yeah, it is a stimulus. Maybe that's what they meant. Oakland Yankees doing blow off old Janet Yellen's chest.
Oh my god.
No, it's so dysfunctional because it's again, they just said housing prices here in Minnesota are at peak what they were 2007. Okay. But they said median household income went down 7% in the last 10 years. But, median home ownership is at all-time low since like the 1950s. So explain this to me, okay? 1950 is when the 30-year mortgage in the 20-year, I believe, came out, right? Because they had to extend the loan periods because nobody could have fucking afford the shit, okay? Okay, flashback. The fact is that we've inflated the same bubble over and over again, but they're not addressing the fundamental problem. And it's like an ecosystem. The plankton have to get light from sugar. They create sugar from light, which then creates more plankton, which then the snails eat and fish eat and everything else. But then they're prey for another bigger predator, right? But that is the economy in a way. It's a biotope. It needs to, in order to be sustainable or functional at all. The average plankton has to get sunlight, okay? So if we're not getting enough sunlight to breed, to procreate, to grow, to expand, then the rest of the ecosystem is going to die bottom up, not top down, bottom up. And you're seeing that now. The middle class is dying, and that was feeding everything else. And now you're going to see the rich boys on Wall Street get hit because consumption's going down. We can't afford to buy shit. Peak debt right now. Peak credit. They got the 72, 80-month car loan, okay? Just extend it out. 80-month car loans, dude. Come on.
Wow.
This is new. This has never
Yeah,
happened.
everybody's getting a new car.
We're at peak credit. Everybody's credit cards are maxed. So what is a credit card? It's taking the now. It's basically stealing consumption from now in the future. So you use consumption now.
It's literally
but you're stealing
it's
from
literally
the future. You're
like
stealing
the
economic
old,
growth from the future.
It's like the most cliche, really, example of like the devil selling your soul to the devil kind of thing. Hey, I'll give you this really nice new car, and I'll give you this stuff now, but you're gonna slave away. You have to sell me your soul for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to change.
And then by the time 15 years comes, that
I want to change the subject a little bit. So I want to go.
Yeah.
That's a really good point because I feel the same way about when I went to school. Is that a lot of the teachers didn't really know shit, or I could learn more myself or on YouTube. So anyway, continue your story from that point.
Oh, do you want me to rehash?
No, just go back to the point
Okay.
of going to not knowing the money, the teachers that were incompetent.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, you go to high school and they tell you the whole time that they basically tell you that, hey, the path to success is higher education, and if you don't go to higher education, your chances of being successful as an individual is diminished. Therefore, yeah, you might as well just go to hell if you're not going to college because you're going to be sweeping ditches the whole life.
Right.
That's literally the argument that they give you. But the fact is that on a statistical basis, if everybody went to college and got college degrees, there still isn't enough, not even a fraction, not even a tenth of the jobs that we need to supply all those fields, right? So the whole thing was a farce to begin with. They were trying to sell more lottery tickets than they had, or no, more carnival seats than they had seats for, more tickets than they had seats for at the carnival.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the whole thing that they're trying to sell this carnival out and they're selling 10 times more tickets than there are seats. Someone should look around the room and
it's
say,
funny.
"Whoa,
It's
dude,
that's the
where
perfect.
are you gonna sit, buddy? You're gonna sit outside or what?"
That's the perfect analogy because it's like people go to school and it's really just like that. It's just like Jeff Berwick says. He's like, you go to the government indoctrination facility, to get your women's studies piece of paper or whatever. And it's literally what it is. It's a piece of paper, but there's this.
You're a certified idiot. You're a fucking certified idiot.
There's this false sense of pride that comes with it, and it's literally just like that because it's like you have the circus ticket, you show up to the circus, and there's no seats for you or any of your friends or anything really, maybe one of them, and everybody's outside with their tickets, but they're like, "Isn't this great though? We still got this ticket that I paid for. We still got this great ticket." That I can hang on my wall.
And I can still buy popcorn in the parking lot. I can still get popcorn in the parking lot. It's dried up and old and shit, but hey, without this ticket, you wouldn't have been able to get the free parking lot peanuts and popcorn in the parking lot. That's it. I think you ask him, well, how much did you go in debt? Like this guy that I was working with, he said $50,000. I said, oh, that ain't too bad. The average is like for 4-year degrees, like 80, okay? Ridiculous, okay? And he's like, yeah, but I feel like I wasted time and fucking effort because 4 years of lost income plus the amount of the total principal plus interest, and you're out like fucking, geez, about $500,000, dude. I mean, $500,000 to saddle you with debt before you even have your first house or own anything tangible. You don't even own anything tangible. And supposedly to gain assets, you're supposed to take on unmanageable amounts of debt that you'll never be able to repay before you even have any assets, dude. It's insane.
I gotta start putting more effort into waking people up to this shit, like on a global, not on like more of a community level. And I want to talk about this too and hash out some ideas. One of the things that I do like is something that I heard from a Larkin Rose. I think it was a Larkin Rose speech. I really, really like that guy. If you haven't heard any of his speeches, but he's going to be at Anarchapulco or whatever, and Man, you gotta stop hitting that fucking keyboard, dude. It's obnoxious.
Sorry.
Remember,
Alt tab.
this is being recorded, so when I'm talking, you gotta try to be quiet. So,
Trying to. I'm eating this cheese and Gouda. It's so good.
oh my god.
Sorry.
I'm like losing my train of thought. What the fuck was I even talking about?
Some guy speech at
Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Okay. I just can't get over the sound of you eating fucking cheese. So,
Can you not
one of the things,
hear it?
hell yeah. So one of the things that he was talking about was, one of his ideas was, you go to a restaurant and you get a receipt and there's a tips section, and I'm sure you've seen this. Instead of like writing money for a tip, which is taxed, just write taxation is theft and then give them cash. That way they can pocket it, right? Which is like an agorist thing, So I'm all about that. I started doing that as much as possible, and hopefully people will at least think about that. Look up something. Run into some libertarian or agorist or anarchist philosophy that is enlightening somehow, or some Larkin Rose talk or something. Anyway, I want to get back to what I was talking about earlier because I think this could be pretty cool. So I was reading Rob Bell's book, How to Be Here. There's this word in there, ikigai, which means reason for being, and so you can kind of bring that into meaning like what wakes you up in the morning, that kind of thing. It's like that kind of concept. And I ran across that and I was like, wow, that's really fucking interesting. And I can't help but notice, ever since I started reading Osho about a year ago, that I don't think most people have any reason for being. They just kind of wander around like zombies. So, with that being said, at least not like a real deep reason for being. It's usually some shallow thing. And so that was really interesting to me. And then also
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, though.
Hold on. Let me go on. Let me
go ahead.
Hold on to your thought because I want to hear what you have to say. But I was also watching this series on Netflix called Life Story, which is very, very fascinating nature show. It just follows different animals throughout their life story, and it's so incredible. And it talks about this one fish. It's called the Japanese puffer fish, and it's different than a lot of fish because a lot of fish attract mates by their colors and stuff. Well, this fish just blends right in with the sand, and how it attracts the mate is so interesting. It makes this beautiful pattern in the sand. It's like a perfect circle with this symmetrical pattern, and it attracts its mate that way, and like they lay the eggs right in the middle of the circle. It's like crazy. But anyway, so I'm trying to get my roommate to make a poster with like that image that it makes, because what's so captivating to me is how the fuck does that little fish know how to make this perfectly symmetrical thing that it can't even see, So that's super interesting to me. So I'm starting this. I'm in the process of starting this group called Seeking the Ikigai, and I'm gonna have that as a background, as like an image, and I'm gonna have a description of like what that image is and the fish and all that kind of stuff, and what the Ikigai is. And it's basically just that. People getting together to talk about spirituality. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to talk about the Tao Te Ching. We're going to talk about biblical shit, scriptures. We're going to talk about all kinds of different taboo subjects in spirituality and philosophy and whatever. And what I really want it to be is kind of a lot of what Rodney Mullen was saying is a place for people to get together and feel connected through what they do and feel and support each other. And what I want is, after the end of each meeting, I want people to feel like they can make a difference. Jesus Christ, you could not be making more cacophony over there. Anyway.
What am I? It's like I'm in a brewery.
Yeah, you're like a fucking cacophony machine. I feel like fucking Spirited Away is on in the background, like in the factory, in like.
Click, click, click.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I want out of it, is for people to come and I get to do my thing, which is speak and teach and lead, and hopefully people will leave and feel like they can actually do something in their community rather than just complaining or whatever. So that's one of the things that I'm starting to venture into. And it's actually pretty cool because I met the president of the Toastmasters that I've been going to, and I told him about my idea, and he thought it was really, really cool. And he's the guy that he told me about the Mankind Project, and he knew the guy that wrote King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and we're gonna get coffee soon. And he said he wants to connect me with some people. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah, me and Maddie have been trying to make friends lately. It's an interesting phenomena we've discovered. You know, you make friends, and you find people that aren't awake. Maybe they are awake, whatever. You know, you say whatever. You know, I don't really care. I really don't care. I just want to help you pursue, you know, where a more positive version of, you know, yourself, which is obviously evolution, you know, of thought. You know what I mean? So, okay. So we met a couple people, and it's just weird because it's like, you know, it's hard to even have a dissenting non-mainstream opinion about anything. Like, even if, for instance, Maddie was trying to strike up a conversation, or not trying to, someone struck up a conversation with her about just, you know, just baby formula, right? She had a kid down. I mean, because how do you tell them that? They especially women, they almost, I mean, how do you with them? You know what I mean? Because they're all about this fake, superficial culture that's everything's like a sticker on culture, and it's like,
Yeah.
It's weird. How do you make friends when you have nothing in common? Like, they're feeding their kids Similac, and you're like, wow, I hope those corn syrup GMO corn solids aren't fucking your.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so go back to, you were talking about the conversation.
To elaborate, my question is, we try to make friends. We don't get all hardcore and weird. And, oh, Alex Jones, 9/11 was an inside job. You know, we don't go like full throttle, even though we may believe some of those things.
Yeah.
Those are private conversations that need to be had on a personal level, some later time in the relationship. So you don't want to spoil it. Like, do you go on a date with a girl and say, hey, I want to have sex now? No, you don't. You don't have sex right away.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things I was trying to get my friend to realize about women. Is I'm like, dude.
The truth is,
I'm like, dude,
sex,
guys
right? Dude,
that
you gotta go slow, dude.
Hold on. Let me see this. I was like, guys that just want to go out and get laid, like, totally don't understand women at all. Because here's the thing: it's like, it's like this. I heard this analogy once. Like, let's imagine that I have the new Star Wars movie that's not even in theaters yet, but somehow I have a copy of it, and I invite you over to, like, come see it at my house, and we're all excited about it, and, like, everybody, like, we made popcorn and all this shit, or whatever, forget that part. We come over and I'm like, okay, let's just watch the last 5 minutes of it. You'd be like, what the fuck? Like, fuck no, I want to watch the whole movie. So I'm like, that's what girls, dude. Like, they want the whole movie, dude.
Like,
they don't,
let's just listen to the key change in a Bon Jovi song.
They don't just want the end. They don't want to just fucking. They want the whole story and then the climax at the end. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of guys don't get that. They're just like, it's so stupid, man. Like,
right. It's the dynamics that's built, and that's why I'm saying truthing people is like having sex with the unwilling. It's basically rape. Okay, if you truth someone and they're not all ready for those dynamics, it's like truth rape, dude. Okay, they're not fucking ready. They won't accept it. They will deny it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be. And then every other person that has any idea or thought that's similar to that, they're going to have like a truth rape flashback where they're like, oh my god, I was fucking raped by this conspiracy theory before. But you're like, it's true though, I swear. You're like, oh yeah, this fucking guy told me one time. He had his finger in my ass. But, no, you know, no, that's the effect it creates, dude. Between Reddit and the media and people saying that, you know, collectivizing groups and Facebook. And,
it's so horrible.
Facebook, by the way, it's a great networking platform. By the way, be the only person to fucking dislike this comment. I've been that person, all right? You won't be friends for much longer, all right? It's coming.
Okay, wait. Hold on for a second. I wanna. This is gonna be a kind of a dual comment here because, number one, I do want to hear your thoughts on what I was talking about with my Ikigai thing. Because honestly, I'm really trying to pursue this, and I think it's a good idea, and I really think I can connect people. So I want to know if it's something you guys would go to, and then if not, what I can do to make it better, and any ideas regarding that. But before you say that, I do want to say that the other day, it's been about 20 days now. I posted a post on Facebook. I was like, okay, I've been reaching for my phone more than I'd like to. I'm not sure how it's affecting me. I was like, I need to take a break from social media, and I deleted all social media off my phone. I got off Facebook, and it's been about 20 days. And honestly, dude, I don't think I'm even gonna go back on ever to comment anything. I literally think I'm just gonna leave it like that. I don't think I've ever.
Right.
I'm so much happier, and because
Right.
all it
Right.
is just comparing and competing with people, and I'm so much happier not being on social media. Like,
Again, it's an internet ghetto. That's what it is. It's a fucking ghetto because all you're doing is you're friends with people who like the same things as you already have the same views mostly, and you're reinforcing groupthink. That's all you're doing. You're reinforcing someone else's thoughts. And believe me, I know this because I've tried to argue and debate people, and I just end up losing friends on Facebook and feeling bad about my life.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I'm a loser. I only have 1,000 now. I had fucking 1,500. But then, you realize you're just pathetic. I mean, the means of communication is already, again, it's an ineffective means of communication.
yeah,
It's not good. And it's set up all to create homogenized, collectivized groups that are already homogenized in the real world. Like, all the surfers are all on their friends, and all their high school friends they're all looking at what they're doing, and it's this weird thing like, hey, instead of living my life and becoming a greater version of myself, I'm going to stare at a fucking monitor, electrode cathode monitor, at what you're doing in your life and compare it to mine.
yeah, and then
Hey,
feel
an
depressed about
electrical
it.
fucking signal, a
Yeah,
signal that's flashing at 60 hertz in front of my face telling me what you're doing and how you're feeling, supposedly.
yeah,
What? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, what? Like, there's no depth to it. It's like, hey, look at us. Have you ever seen anybody do selfies when they're like crying or they're really mad? They just threw a glass at their buddy. They just got to a bar fight and they're like doing selfies and shit. No, you don't see that shit. Why? Because people don't want to be ever viewed as a negative person, right?
Yeah,
People
right.
don't want to be viewed like they're human. This is why Facebook is not human, dude. It's not human. Because guess what?
Yeah.
Human dynamics and life
Not only
experiences
that,
bring
okay,
color to your life.
yeah, right, and you're so true. You're so correct. And the other thing that I was thinking about, just you saying this, is just how we were talking about how when me and you talk over the phone or whatever it is, there's such a a communication barrier because we can't feel each other's energy. And I really think many people don't even understand that dynamic exists, or that it exists to the extent
They don't have a
that
presence.
it can.
They don't have a presence.
And
They're not
it's
in
just like we
control
were
of it.
talking about with movies and with Facebook and shit. It's so superficial. There's no energy. There's no spirituality. It's fucking crazy. To me, it's amazing that people don't wake up every morning and go, "Oh my fucking god, what is this
If I see
reality?"
another news report on gun
No, 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 no,
control,
no,
I'm
no.
going to shoot myself.
No, no, no. You're way not on the same page as me right now. Like literally,
No, I know, but that was just a leap.
people waking up and being like literally, man. I really started to meditate on my death and be like I really don't know. We don't. There's so many things that we don't know, man. We don't know what's gonna happen when you die. You don't know when you're gonna die. You don't know. You don't know if you're gonna be able to hold on to your thoughts, your sense of who you think you are and who your personality is, your friends, your family, any of those things. I mean, as far as you know, it's just all gone as soon as you die, and you could die at any point, at any time, whatever. And it's like maybe that's not the maybe it is another way. Regardless of all of this stuff, basically all I'm trying to get at is death is a mystery. You start to think about that, and then you start to appreciate life more. You start to realize the mystery of life and what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this existence? Why is everyone going to a job that they hate every fucking day? What is the meaning of all this shit? How did we
Well,
get to this
it's
point?
just like, right. You're exactly right. I mean, I think the whole story of history has been, how do we enlighten the individuals? I mean, even if we're looking at it from a biblical perspective, that's the same idea as like, how do we enlighten individuals, dude? To fight the ID, to fight their ego. How do we do it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think
And I just think, I think it's so important to be aware of your ego. Just be
right.
aware of it.
Yeah, I think also just like I'm starting to realize more and more like leading by example is the best way to make an impact on people, more so than trying to get them to see your point of view or anything like that.
Well, the way I see it is I just listen to them and see what their experiences, feels, values, principles, norms are, and try to understand how these truths affect them or where they're coming from, because it's not like they're wrong. It's not that they're wrong. It's just they have a different perspective. I mean, everything's the truth, right? Because it just is. It's just it obviously happened.
I wouldn't say everything is the
Otherwise
truth,
they
but
wouldn't
I
be.
would say all perspectives
Do you know what I'm
are
saying? Like
valid, are
everything.
real.
Well, no, or everything is the truth or a factor of is what I meant to say, right? Meaning that either their views and attitudes and beliefs might not be based on the truth, but they're reflected by it. You
See,
see what I'm saying?
I think what you're trying to say is that everybody's perspective is valid. Everybody is
That's
perceiving
what I mean,
some.
or an effect of the real truth, though, but it's still
But
an
that's
effect of the truth.
basically what that goes to is that whatever you believe, whatever people believe is constantly what they're trying to find in their life and trying to prove in
And
their life.
reinforce.
Right. And it's like
Yep.
yeah, the way that you consistently behave towards your reality is going to change how your reality mirrors back to you. So if you
Right.
believe uh yeah, I mean, it's consistently like, it's like that saying: if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. And if you want to get something different, you have to consistently behave differently towards your reality. It's like that thing. This is in the Bible too, in the letter of James, but it's like looking in the mirror and expecting the mirror to show you smiling before you actually smile. But in reality, a lot of times there aren't real clear mirrors. Like you have to change the way
Right.
you behave regardless of if there's a mirror or not, and then it will reflect back to you, when it does.
Right. I mean, that's why I think these Americans we have the highest mental health issue in the world, even though we're supposedly the richest and or one of the wealthiest, highest standard of living. Don't say rich because that doesn't make any sense. But you look at the mental disorders; they're off the chart, and you ask yourself, how? Well, I think the answers can be asked in the purpose. People have no purpose. We're all sitting around here chasing our tails to fucking pay off some debt that never exists, some alchemy, dude. Something that never existed,
Why
has
don't you
existed,
why
or
don't
won't
you
exist.
answer my previous question while you're on that subject? Because that is really the heart of why I'm setting up this group, Seeking the Ikigai, is to get people to find a reason for being. Because so many of us, I found that even almost
Oh,
everybody that.
I think anything you can do to find open-minded people first of all, the people you find there are mostly that will join a group like that will probably be more open-minded. So you're already at a positive because
Right.
you're working with people that have open ideas, open dialogue, that are thinking and are consciously aware that their thoughts have an effect on who they are and the world around them. So that's a positive thing. But I think for some of the harder hearts or some of the harder minds, it's really hard to change, dude. It's really hard for them
Yeah,
to
and I
change.
mean, really, it's this
And
is
I don't,
just.
yeah,
Uh, Here's my vision and my hope for it is that we get some really cool people together and we start making a difference in the
yeah.
community, and it will attract people. It's just like, dude, Rob Bell, man, he had like fucking thousands of people showing up to his church like when they first started it. Very controversial. It's like, man, honestly, I align so much with his philosophy. He's such an awesome human being. He really understands life, man, in the present moment.
Constantly anxious because you can't pay your bills, or you'll never get the career that you want, or you'll never live up to your daddy's expectations. And you go about life with this nagging distress that ultimately leads to your demise, that just stresses you out and grows you older and more degenerated over time. Now that's the stress that most people deal with. Eustress creates growth. to fly before you hit the fucking bottom, you're gonna animate all your vital resources to learn how to fly on the way down. And that's why you have to jump. You know, there's a different type of response to that cliff that a lot of people, most people, experience. And that is they stare down that cliff their entire